Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of 5 Minute Fridays. If you've watched the last couple of episodes, you know I'm talking about inflammation these days, and I'm breaking it down into chapters. The first episode, we talked about what inflammation really is and the subtle signs you have that may indicate inflammation is going on. The next episode, we started talking about the main triggers of inflammation, the first of which is food and diet. This week, we're going to talk about the next big issue when it comes to inflammation, which is stress. Stress is a physical response to feeling challenged or threatened in any way. When you're stressed emotionally or physically, as we know, our bodies go into the fight or flight response. There is actually a third response, which is freeze. So you either want to fight the problem, run away from the problem, or you freeze and are rendered paralyzed. Do you know which one you are? Okay, so how does stress impact inflammation? The pathway from stress to inflammation to disease isn't 100% straightforward, but here is what we do know. When you're stressed, hormones like cortisol and adrenaline are released. This is a good thing because we need these hormones to regulate our ability to survive. There is a cascade of things that happens when these hormones are released in the body. For example, the body gets a signal to fuel the production of glucose, boosting energy to the large muscles to pump more blood and oxygen to our arms and legs, which is great if you need to run your ass off from a bear that is chasing you. But if you are just sitting at your desk when this same process is happening, it's not particularly helpful to have your legs ready to run for your life. This in and of itself doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but here's where the problem comes in. When you're stressed and these hormones start pumping, they signal to the body to suppress non-essential functions like your immune response and digestion. In other words, having cortisol pumping throughout your body all the time directs resources away from functions that aren't crucial in life-threatening situations. The body is smart enough to know that if you're being chased by a bear, it doesn't need to worry about digesting what you had for lunch. Instead, it's going to make sure that you survive that chasing bear. Ever wonder why your GI tract has issues when you're stressed? Well, this is why. Your digestion basically gets put on hold until it's assured you aren't going to get killed by that bear. Hello, diarrhea. Besides digestion, the other system that gets majorly impacted is our immune system. As I mentioned before, we need cortisol. In normal amounts, cortisol actually boosts our immunity by lowering inflammation in our body. But long-term high levels of stress overwork this process and cause the immune system to weaken, unable to properly protect us. Over time, if you're chronically stressed, your immune cells become less sensitive to cortisol and become unable to regulate this inflammatory response. There have been countless studies that take groups of healthy people, some of whom are chronically stressed and some of whom aren't. Then they expose them to the virus that causes the common cold. I'll give you one guess what happens in these studies. You guessed it, the people whose systems were more stressed out could not fight off the virus nearly as well. Now, there are many mechanisms responsible for disease in all its forms, but what is becoming crystal clear is that when we are stressed, the immune system is working so hard at dealing with the inflammation caused by your chronic stress that it doesn't have the energy to fight off disease when faced with it. In the case of the common cold, NBD, no big deal. But when other diseases start creeping in like cancer, the same concept can be applied. If your immune system is exhausted by trying to manage the issues caused by your stress levels, how can it possibly fight off those cancer cells properly? It can't. Okay, so now you're like, great. Now I need to stress out about what disease my stress is causing inside of me. Remain calm. I know how hard life is and stress is inevitable. We can't wish for a stress-free life, but we certainly can make a stronger effort in how we respond to stress. We all know the obvious ones like exercise, yoga, and meditation. I also know that half of you out there are like, girl, I ain't got time to meditate. I get it. I'm secretly terrible at this too. But here's the deal. There have been countless studies showing that even a few minutes of slowing your breath down can downgrade this inflammatory cycle we've been talking about. So just because you don't have a half hour to meditate, even if you have to lock yourself in the bathroom, just take a moment to breathe and calm your nervous system down. Other ideas that work are journaling, walking outside in nature, breathing in lavender oil, or simply talking with a friend. A study with mice that have been injected with a virus found that the mice who were placed with other mice every day and had lots of social support had decreased concentrations of this virus in their bloodstream compared to those mice with unstable support. So call a friend, people. It's good for your health, literally. To conclude, I want everyone to take the concept of the chasing bear that I've referred to so many times and insert something that causes you stress every day. The issues described before with both your digestion and your immune system is happening in your body, but let's be honest, it's unlikely that the traffic jam you're in is going to cause you death. However, this fight or flight system built into our systems does not know that. It's responding the same way whether it's traffic causing you to stress out or if it's a bear that's decided to have you for dinner. So take a moment and realize what's happening when you allow non-life-threatening things in your life to elevate your stress levels. Breathe, people. It's all going to be okay. We have to create space between our environment and ourselves so that we have some room to respond rather than just react. Okay, I hope this helps. And as always, thanks for watching.